Lacrosse goals are gonna ruin this game.
Well, I guess that's how I'm gonna score every goal this year.
I could see myself doing 3 a shift.
I will rage quit if one more goal like this goes in against me.
Cross the crease, clappers, lacrosse goals. Only 3 ways you can score in NHL 21.
It's too easy.
Please! Folks, we're back with the NHL 21 review, and listen, we want to be positive about things. We went into this game with an open mind and an open wallet. But no, seriously, they've added a bunch of stuff this year, and we've gone through it. Now we've come up with a list of 7 things that we think you should know about NHL 21. We're gonna get right into this. We're gonna make sure it doesn't sound like we're just complaining the entire time. I promise, we got some positive things to say. Stick around to the very end because we are gonna give some pretty bold suggestions. And also, make sure to like the video, make sure to comment. Helps us make more bar down videos.
Plus, you know, more likes, maybe more views, and then maybe EA sees it and makes some of the changes.
And let's get this out of the way real quick. I already turned the soundtrack off. We're not gonna be talking about the soundtrack from this point. I'm sorry, there's not enough songs. There's not enough songs. Moving on. The first thing you need to know about NHL 21.
The first thing you need to know about NHL 21 is that the new moves don't change the gameplay. Contrary to what we made that joke about at the beginning of this video, a lot of people were worried about the lacrosse move and the no move becoming almost like the one-handed tuck, where it really was easily repeatable, and if people are just spamming that in the games, it's no fun. I'll tell you what, that is not a problem.
You know, especially for people who can't pull it off. It's not exactly like they have a nice tutorial, by the way, to show you how to do any of these moves. They do have all of those Team Canada tutorials from years ago, though. Those are still in the game.
Yeah, they have seemingly not updated them from last year because the new deeks are not in that. So you have to learn it on your own.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah, you for sure gotta earn it. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. Obviously, I think the main one thing is that like people aren't really gonna use these. It will be very rare if someone scores a goal like that. I guess that's fine. It just happened for the first time in NHL history last year. Also, the Nikita Kucherov no move. It's not very smooth. Like, I don't think it's really going to be that useful to people. That really doesn't affect the game much for me, other than like it helps content creators get stuff out. I think the bank off the boards could be useful. Obviously, it's pretty early stages, so you'll see how people integrate this into their games. Overall, for gameplay, it's pretty similar to last year. There is some differences in the AI. Cross-crease goals have definitely increased. A lot of pucks get through on those one-timers now, so they seem like almost easier to score this year. It's possible they nerf that. A little concerning, but like, who are we kidding? The cross-crease goal is good every year. It's never not going to be good. Overall, gameplay seems pretty similar.
Another thing that they've built their trailers off of, Hut Rush, which for now, pretty fun while you're using the cards that you start out with. Not bad for right now.
As you're kind of building up your Hut team, the one that you actually want to play with in the end, it's kind of nice to use some of the good players rather than like I go into a Hut Rivals game at the moment and like my best player is like Elias Lindholm. It's fun. I don't think it's going to be a game mode I'm going to play a ton of later on in the game, but it encourages you to try and score some fun goals where you have to score with Ovechkin, right? I think the titles are a little weird because you're not trying to score with Ovechkin's one-timer, you're just trying to score with Ovechkin. But yeah, it's fun. It's not great.
I know people hate when we mention FIFA because everyone thinks FIFA is not good, and I think when we compare things to FIFA, it's because there are things that it does well, and it's made by the same company. Sorry, we're going to use it as a comparison. Hut Co-op, just like Foot Co-op,
game changer.
That's kind of a miss. If we're looking over the fence,
yeah,
like it's kind of be a neat feature to have. This brings us to our third thing. This is the mode that's got the most excitement around it this year, and that of course is the Be a Pro mode. And what do we have to say about Be a Pro mode? It's good, but it's not great.
This seems to be a theme so far.
I will say this: if you are just looking at this year's Be a Pro versus last year and the year before that and the year before that, this one is infinitely better. What they've added, there's a number of things that they should be applauded for. First thing, the presentation. They do an excellent job of the menus that they have in there, all of the presentation stuff with James Cebulski and Ray Ferraro, which they do that in the menus, where he's got a little radio show where people call in and they talk about performances. So a lot of contextual on-air dialogue that also goes into the game as well. I would say that the presentation aspect of it is very well done. Another thing that they do very well is they actually provide a little bit of weight to the games by having consequences. When you make challenges to the media and you go off and act like an absolute jerk and promise that you're going to score 3 points, I'm not going to lie, I felt a little bit of pressure to go out and do that when the situation came to it. Your coach will come to you with challenges during the game, and it's usually, in fact, it is just the same thing every time. He goes, hey, either button it down and apply some pressure, or go out there and score me a goal.
Gets a little repetitive.
Gets a little repetitive, but that being said, sometimes it does add a little bit of tension. This is now where some of my negatives are going to come in about Be a Pro. The training, it's identical to how it used to be.
Yeah.
It's a series of menus. Right when you exit that draft, go ahead, watch this clip. If I put this in real time, you'd be sitting there for 25 minutes, just like me, picking sprint training sessions, power skating sessions, and stick handling sessions instead of actually playing the game. And like, straight up, that's just not fun. On top of that, the options, like, they feel pretty shallow. The live the life aspect of it, it really just feels like I'm stuck in a menu for most of it. If you go back to like NBA 2K14, before they had like story modes or anything like that, you could speak during the press conferences. Like, they had dialogue.
And I know people say I talk a lot, but watch me go out there and back it up.
And the animations repeat themselves for all these situations. Like, they have this thing where your teammate runs into you and he looks pissed off. And I don't know if it's because, like, when they first did it, it was supposed to be like, hey, here's an altercation between you. And the guy was just asking me if I wanted to go bowling.
Cousin, let's go bowling.
But he looked like he was asking me, like, did you stab my tires in the parking lot? You changed enough about that game mode that I would say if you like Be a Pro mode and like that's your thing, you were already attached to it, you're gonna like that mode. If you're not really a Be a Pro person and you're hoping that that's what your entire purchase depends upon, is you now having fun with that, no, not a chance. I'm sorry, you'll get bored of it. You will, flat out. The cars and the houses that you buy to give yourself skill points, fairly shallow system. As I said, the dialogue, fairly shallow system. You have a model to follow. You do not have to reinvent the wheel here. 2K does an infinitely better job of making sure that you're training your guy, leveling him up, going to practice, doing actual drills that people do in real life in basketball, so that you feel a lot more connected with your player and that there's a lot more stuff off the ice that's just game modes and not just straight menu. It's close to being a great game mode, but right now, I'm just gonna say it's a good game mode. This now brings us to the fourth thing you should know about NHL 21, and for our next revival act, franchise mode. So, if NHL 21 was all about fixing Be a Pro mode, holy crap, NHL 22 better be all about franchise mode. I don't think it will be, but it needs to be. The menus, they still lag. The presentation, literally almost the same. They changed the color of it, cool. Hockey analyst, still there. Still the laziest thing I've ever seen in a video game by a multi-billion-dollar company.
Obviously that feels like a small thing, but it's also pretty indicative of just the fact that like they just haven't touched it at all.
The deadline day mini game, that's a joke. If you had told me that that was in the game last year, I would have believed you, because it goes by so quickly and it's so inconsequential and it changes almost absolutely nothing about how I played that. Uses the exact same interface except for a slightly different page that shows you who's available on people's block and stuff. There's nothing about it that's like fast paced and like, holy crap, like I gotta get my trade done.
Slow down.
Hockey analyst. Not even a part of that, by the way. There is no hockey analyst in the trade deadline part. He lost his role. As it is, it's looked the same, it's operated the same for so long. It needs a total facelift from what it is. Just look what they did with the Be a Pro mode when it comes to the presentation outside of the game. Also, stop telling me in-game that teams got new presidents. Like, no one cares. That has no effect on anything. It feels very shallow, and they've done a really good job of showing what's possible in the Be a Pro mode and what would be awesome in franchise mode.
Okay, the fifth thing you need to know about NHL 21 is they improved their best game mode.
We're back to positive.
Yeah, we're trying to be positive about this. The game mode that I think me and Z both agree is, I think, the most fun I have playing the game at any time is EA SHL. You can play with your friends. It improves the kind of actual game-by-game fun of it, where you're collaborating on that, score nice goals, and compete together as a team. Actually brings like a real team aspect to it, and I think it really does that better than any other sports game on the market.
I would say it's NBA 2K like Pro-Am leagues and EASHL. Like, they're in a league of their own when it comes to these co-op game modes.
It's not significant changes that they made to EASHL, but they added something that people have been asking for years in practice mode, which it just makes sense. They've had it in the past, and being able to practice as a team and actually like figure stuff out before you just get destroyed. And then on top of that, obviously they added the kind of club finals, which I don't think I'm gonna be on a club that ends up as one of these champions in whatever difficulty. But whoever does win those, that seems like it'd be really fun. And I think breaking it up into those seasons does probably keep it a little more interesting throughout the year. Obviously we'll see that as the year goes on.
EASHL, still a mode that they can hang their hat on. And now to our 6th point. This is the peak for the NHL series to us, and that's not a good thing. Folks, it's about to get a little dark, not gonna lie to you. If someone had never played the NHL series before and picked up NHL 21, they would have a fun time with this. They'd enjoy the gameplay, they would enjoy the modes, and there would be enough to keep them busy. That's if things are in a vacuum. If you're a fan of this series and you bought the version before this and the one before that, and let's just say you're excited for the one that comes after this, it really doesn't change much. And I really fail to see a time in which it will.
It took us an entire generation of a console to get back to NHL 14. Like, look at how many recycled ideas are from that. Like, the Be a Pro is basically like Live the Life pretty much.
Live the life.
The NHL 94 game that no one, sorry, I shouldn't say no one wants that, but like,
I'll say it for you. No one wants that. This really feels like this version of the game is at its peak of what they're going to do with it, because if we're being honest, it's what, their 4th best-selling game? So you don't get to see a lot of these grand evolutions and reinventions, and that really sucks if you're a huge fan of the series. Not because the game itself isn't fun, but because you really do feel like you're buying the same thing that's just moderately better year in, year out, and I don't see how that's gonna change. And also, if I hear one more person try to tell me that because their development team is smaller, that I should just cut them some slack, the game is $79.99. The exact same price as Madden, the exact same price as NBA 2K, the exact same price as FIFA, the exact same price as Red Dead, and every other major game. And we're not trying to dissuade you from enjoying this. If you like this game, hell yeah, play it. That's fine. Have fun with it. I guess what we're saying here is, and I feel a little bit sad in saying this, is like, I really am not expecting a lot out of this series in the future, because I don't see what's gonna help them get more sales and attract more people. At least not with what they're doing right now.
People who like hockey will play this game. And on the other side of that, I'd say if you don't like hockey, you're probably playing a different game. And that's a problem for NHL. And it sucks because I remember back when I was a kid, like, I didn't like football, but I started playing Madden, and that's how I started liking football.
In the end, I think what we're getting is, again, a game that's very, very similar to the year before.
100%.
But we do have a final point, because we do want to end on something positive, and we do want to make suggestions.
Yeah. Our 7th thing that you need to know about NHL 21 is that radical change needs to happen if this game wants to grow in the future.
Going back to Be a Pro real quick, I do think that the way that 2K has done their My Career has brought in people who aren't necessarily basketball fans to play that game mode. The Neighborhood, I had friends talking about that who are not sports fans. I have friends who aren't gamers who are basketball fans who bought a system just to play it. I do think that there is a model out there already in front of EA for them to just like almost carbon copy, and it's a model for success in bringing in new players into that game mode. You need game modes that encourage you to stay with them and build your characters and grow a community.
I have another suggestion that I think is definitely a bit of a radical one. The NHL franchise should explore being a free game. I know that seems insane, but obviously there are games that have been kind of released as free games that do have ways to make money in other ways. Obviously, they already make a bunch of money off of HUT.
Roster updates and new jerseys, that's kind of skins already.
Exactly, right? So like paying for skins and whatever, it doesn't seem that different, and the idea of a free game might just open it up to so many more people. People always talk about like how one of the reasons hockey as a sport doesn't grow is because it's so expensive and inaccessible. But like, imagine the video game was the opposite of that, where it is the inexpensive and accessible version that people are more willing to just give a shot because it's free.
While I fully agree with you that they would definitely expand their user base by making the game free, I guess I am curious how that would affect the rest of the game. Are they really going to focus on franchise mode? Are they really going to focus on Be a Pro if they really just kind of care about these skins and these other things? I think that stuff might actually suffer even more. But curious what you guys think in the comments. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Z and I have talked about this before, and it can go a lot longer than it just did. So let us...
We got more to say on this.
Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments, and let us know if maybe you'd want to see a longer video just on that.
Here's our rating. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a 7. If you liked last year's game, you'll like this year's game because it's pretty similar to it. It's not a bad game. It's just really not a great one. If you want to see more Bar Down videos, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment. It's wonderful. It helps. You're wonderful. You help. Thanks for checking out our review. If you want to see our review for NHL 22, just watch this back again.